Over the past year, our daily lives have changed in ways that we never thought they would. There's no denying this year's been hard on everyone, and life at this point is still very unpredictable. For me personally, my work and creativity has taken a massive hit, which has had quite a negative effect on my mental health. But over time I found that the best thing I can do for myself is creating a routine. And the most important part of that routine was getting out into nature, and specifically blue spaces like this one.
So this is something that's easy to say and a lot harder to do. So today it's like 2 p.m. I haven't got out and done anything. I'm really trying to make sure I do actually get out, because I know it's going to help. But the hard thing is going out and doing it. So I'm going to take you with me on that. I think it's really interesting how much we can self-sabotage sometimes. I mean, no more than 10 minutes ago I was laying face down on my bed telling myself I didn't actually want to come out and do this today, but I'd already kind of set it up for myself yesterday that I was going to do this today at some point. And I was about 5 steps out the door and I was already like, why haven't I done this like 2-3 hours ago? It's crazy how much of a switch you can make once you get up and do it. It's a strange phenomenon, really.
So I've known for a while now that being out in nature is good for my mental well-being, and there's something particularly special about the feeling that I get when I'm by water. But I don't really know why that is, so I want to find out if there's any reason for this. As part of my research, I came across the Blue Health Project and reached out for an interview.
I'm Dr. James Grelier. I work at the European Centre for Environment and Human Health, which is part of the University of Exeter Medical School, and my job is as a research fellow.
So I wondered if I could ask you just first what your definition of blue space was.
So the definition that we came up with was that a blue space is any outdoor environment which could be either natural or made by people, which prominently features water and which people can access. And I don't just mean access as in get into the water or even be next to it, but also that they're able to sort of experience it maybe in another way, so being able to see or hear or smell water. There's a lot of different ways that we can experience blueness of a space, and it's not always by getting in the water or even touching it. It's often just being able to sense it in some other way. The working definition at the beginning of this project that we worked on, we didn't have a definition for blue space. I should say the whole idea of blue space really comes from work which was about green space. So we're all very accustomed to talking about green space, where we mean park, normally in urban settings, but sometimes elsewhere. And because colleagues of mine knew that places with green spaces with water in them seem to have particular effects on people's thinking and their health and so on, we decided that looking at blue spaces would be good.
So you were saying about how you kind of came through this through green space research, and that green spaces with water, did you say they seemed more effective for people's well-being?
What we know is that people value blue spaces in a particular way. So if you look at the way that people spend their leisure time, when they go on holiday, they tend to go towards water, tend to go to the coast. Particularly that's true in Europe. We know that people spend more money on hotel rooms that have a view of the sea, for example. People will spend more money on property that has a view of the sea or of other kinds of blue spaces, lakes or rivers or other kinds of environments featuring water. So we know that people place a particular value on them, and we know that these places can have a particular effect on the way that people think and the way that they behave.
So for me, this chat was very eye-opening. It's shown me that the feeling that I get when I'm around water isn't something that's exclusive to me. It's a widespread effect that many people can benefit from. Now, a lot of the research is only early, but it's showing really positive signs for the effect that it could have on our mental well-being. To me, the most important part of that whole chat that I had with James was the fact that any blue space has the potential to cause this kind of positive effect on us. So I'm fortunate enough to live by the coast, and I know that I'm extremely lucky with that. But the fact that any blue space can have this almost healing quality makes it so much more accessible. So people can get out to rivers and lakes, or even just water features in their local town. Just any body of water has the potential to make us feel just that little bit better. From a lot of the studies that we were talking about, you can see how the water is helping people, but there's still not exactly that kind of why. From a bit more digging that I've done, there's a few studies that look at the sea and talk about how the sound of the waves is a comforting sound. It helps calm your brain because of the wavelength of the noise that it makes, which I definitely think is pretty accurate. I always feel a lot more calm when I'm by the water. It's why I come here so much. So I read another study that was particularly interesting about how the fact that water is flat means that it's less stressful for our brains to interpret. So it's just naturally calming to look at because you're not having to figure out what you're looking at, which I think is quite a fascinating idea. And I don't know, I think maybe it is true. So what's definitely clear to me when I'm by water is this calming effect, and knowing exactly why that is still a little bit of a scientific mystery, I guess. But for me personally, when my brain works, I get very fixated on things and distracted. When I'm at my worst, I need things to take my mind off it. And I find that coming to blue spaces really gives me this sense of calm. I find when I'm watching water, it's always moving. There's always something to capture my attention. And I think this is something that I've been learning since making this film, even. That spending time by water is one of the best ways I've been able to help myself.